Fatigued by Foucault, bored with Butler, disdainful of Derrida, dumbfounded by Deleuze and Guattari, or just generally tired of feeling bullied into citing particular scholars and not others? Well then, perhaps it's time to try someone else. Hi, my name's Greteman, and my paper might be your answer. It is part of a special issue on the cultural politics of queer theory in educational research, and is an attempt, albeit perhaps not a successful one, to move toward a different theorist, Jacques Rancière, because he is trendy, and, well, queers are meant to be trendy. Of course, queer theory may no longer be trendy since it has now been institutionalized with degree programs and professorships. Some have for a while argued that queer theory is dead, but I'm not convinced it is, so my interest is, along with others, thinking about what queer theory might do now in the midst of gay becoming okay. I propose a shift toward Rancière and his idea of dissent, which allows, as my title suggests, both a desire to dissent from what have become normal ideas in queer theory and to use queer theory to do its work dissenting from new normals. If gay and lesbian subjects are on the slow and steady march toward equality and access to problematic institutions such as the military, becoming normal citizens within the Western body politic, what becomes queer, or who are the new queers? There is, I think, a growing body of work thinking about such issues, the ways gay has gone global, the impact of the economic collapse on queer populations, and the plight of queer immigrants. So my contribution is, in part, a reminder of the role of dissent in disrupting what has become normal, and in many ways good for some, but not for all. Rancière allows us to dissent with theoretical vigor. What, we might ask, have we consented to politically and ethically that might need dissenting from now? Or what makes sense and can be sensible, and can the sensible be made nonsensical? Schools are, of course, in the business of sense-making, so queer theory's use of dissent might look to challenge that which makes sense, to see what is hiding. And my proposal, drawing upon previous thinkers, is to turn to the joke. Jokes, it seems, might be the long-lost, albeit always present, option to dissent from consensus. And jokes are always risky, since they might expose norms while reinscribing those very norms. Jokes are less about raising consciousness, and more about humor. And as Rancière argued in The Philosopher and His Poor, quote, "The pedagogy that raises consciousness by unveiling exploitation and its mystifications is a very impoverished virtue. Instead," he argued, quote, "the great virtue that must be learned by the public with the actor is humor." So perhaps we need a bit more humor in school and out of it, not to distract from seriousness, but to embrace a rather queer sensibility of laughing at oneself and not taking ourselves too seriously, to fail at making complete sense while pushing for new senses that will inevitably need to be dissented from. However, I'm afraid my time is out, so you may want to read my article to learn more. It's free for the next month, so you better get to reading.